Hey guys, it's me Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and we'll get on with the video. I would like to talk about working at the COVID testing site as an intern today. I know it's new to a lot of us, not everybody is working at something like this, so I just wanted to shed some light on some of the questions that you guys have, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. So without further ado, let's get into the video. At the end of this video, I'm going to add some of the sunburns I've had while working at this site, so stay tuned. Okay, so the first question I have is, do pharmacy technicians work there? And the answer to that is yes. We actually have a lot of pharmacy technicians working there. There has to be pharmacists, and we actually have some people that actually are like front-end workers working there as well. So it's really nice that we have a good amount of people who are volunteering to do something like this. And yeah, so that answers that question. Another one is it volunteer work? And technically it is. So we volunteer to do it, but we also get paid. So I'm still getting paid my hourly rate, and I've been also volunteering to work all these days. So it's really nice. You're not really pulled into it unless you really want to, which is really nice. Do you have proper PPE? Yes, we do. So for what we do, we only do self-swab, meaning the patient does it. So we really only have a mask and gloves, and that's really all you need. We sanitize our gloves between each person. So, and I'll explain that later on how we do that. We also sanitize everything that the patient touches. So I think we're pretty good. But if it was more contact, I would obviously want like a hazmat suit or some more PPE than just a mask and gloves. The next question I have you had a lot of positive cases? So I don't actually know this answer. We're actually not even told what the lab results are. So unless the patient tells us, we don't know. And nobody knows at the site, so I can't really answer that. We just don't know. It may be different for different sites, but for ours, since it's getting sent to a lab and then the patient is being emailed the results, we just don't know that. Another one is, how long does it take for results to come out? So we quote them 2 to 7 days. They should get an email from the lab on their results, and hopefully it takes, we've seen people get it the next day, but I've also seen people take about a week. So there's no real answer, I guess. We just try to find like a middle ground and say 2 to 7 days. But yeah, it's really nice that some of the patients have heard earlier than the 2 to 7 days. I've had a lot of like medical providers come through, and obviously theirs is more time sensitive, but honestly there's nothing we can really do because they come and pick it up later that night, and it's just whenever they can get to it. And then, so my next question is, how nervous or anxious was I working there? So at first I was a little nervous. My mom does have an autoimmune disease, so I was really nervous going there and possibly being exposed. But I went in and did it and felt like I was a lot safer there than I was in the pharmacy. Now our pharmacy does have the, what are they called? The sneeze guards, but still, oh, and we're still supposed to be wearing masks in the pharmacy as well. But customers don't have to come in and wear masks. At least at the COVID site, we're 6 feet away from them no matter what. So I definitely feel a lot safer in there than I am in the pharmacy. And that was my next question. So is it safer than the pharmacy? And yeah, I really believe it is. We bleach everything that the patient touches. We're wearing the correct PPE. And like I said, unfortunately in the pharmacy you don't always have that luxury. Like, I know when I'm working in the pharmacy, which I haven't been in 3 weeks, but after each patient I Lysol where they were and make sure that that's clean for the next person. I wear a face mask, but sometimes customers don't, so you just gotta, I don't know, I just think about it that way. I'm more protected at the COVID site than I am in the pharmacy. And you may feel different, that's totally fine. That's just how I feel. And okay, so I have 2 questions that kind of go together. What's your specific job, and describe your role and responsibilities at the site? So there are 3 different jobs that are there. The first one is greeter. So what the greeter does is register the patient. They go to each car and make sure that they have a government ID and then a reference number that was sent to their email. And then they go and get the paper that's for the patient, and they put the time that they were there. They put a little label onto their vial, and they have a basket. So it consists of a vial, a swab, and then a little baggie that you put the paper in so that we know who it is, and then that's where you put the sample whenever we're done testing. And then the runners, they run the sample into the trailer to put it into a refrigerator. So and that's pretty much all they do. They can clean, like bleach the table for the pharmacist, but it totally depends on what the pharmacy wants. And then the pharmacist is the one who tests. So I've been able to test as an intern, and honestly it's pretty easy. We just test a lot of people, so we're allowed a max of 400 people now, and most days we're doing like 200, 260 maybe. As always, it could be lower, like maybe even below 100, but I haven't seen one like that in a while. But since it's self-swab, it's just so much easier to test. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to actually talk out the directions with people, especially if they don't speak English, or there's just that language barrier there. Sometimes that's really hard, but we make it work. My next question is, how accurate are the COVID-19 rapid tests? So I don't really know a specific percentage at all, but from what I read, the nasal swab tests are the most specific tests to give for COVID testing. They said there's other ones out there like the throat swab. It's not as accurate. So I think we're definitely fine doing the nasal swab. And it doesn't go as far back as the ones that are at the hospital. Like those ones go all the way back to your nasal cavity. This one's just like in your nose. But there was no data that I saw that actually broke the 2 down. It just said nasal swabs are more specific. And the FDA honestly doesn't even have like an actual approved test that is 100% accurate. So we've had pretty good results from what I know. But yeah, like I said, the nasal swab is the most specific. So also, who is doing the swabbing? So like I said, it is self-swab, thankfully. The pharmacist just gives the directions, and then the patient has to swab their nose themselves. My next question is there any restrictions to who is allowed to get tested? And do they have to have specific symptoms? So it used to be that we could only test symptomatic patients, like they had to have certain symptoms in order for us to be able to have a test for them, or they could be healthcare workers. But now it's any symptoms, like you don't even have to be symptomatic, and as long as you're 18 years and older, then you can get the test. So then my next question is, should it be treated with plasma of the treated person? So I think the only like plasma test that would be for like if they have antibodies. So this self-swab test is only if they have it right now. And I think that's fine. If they wanted to do the plasma test, they definitely can, but there's been a couple misconceptions that of people coming in and thinking that the swab is going to tell them that they have antibodies, but we quickly let them know that it will only be if they have COVID right this second. And then my last question is, what is the process? So I'll start out as greeter. So the person comes up, and we have 2 lanes because we have 2 pharmacists at a time, and we just test it like that. So each lane has a respective pharmacist. And so the greeter will go up, get the government ID, go and get their paper, put it in the little baggie, and put their label on the vial. And then they will run it to that pharmacist that they're in line for. So then the patient will pull up to where they need to be. Usually it's like a tent. So like tent 2 has 1 pharmacist, tent 3 has a second pharmacist, and whatever. So the patient will pull up, and we have a table. So like the pharmacists are 6 feet apart from that car at all times, which is really important. That's why I feel so safe, because we have to be 6 feet apart at all times. And so we put the basket at the end of the table, and you push the table towards the car so that the basket is closest to them. And they can roll down the window, and then the pharmacist will validate the name and date of birth to make sure that that's the person that's getting tested. And then the person can go ahead and take the basket into their car. And we start with opening up the cotton swab. So you open it the opposite end of the cotton swab. So as long as the cotton swab is facing down so that they don't contaminate it, expose it to anything, and then they can just take it all the way out. And then I start by telling them that you're gonna do both nostrils. You swirl it around twice and then hold it there for 15 seconds. And you wanna go halfway up the nose. So it's a little uncomfortable, but not painful. Like, it might make them sneeze, but that's pretty much it. And then, so they do that, and I count to 15 for them. And then we switch over to the other side. So they swirl, 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 and then hold for 15 seconds again. Then when they're done, they take it out. You grab the vial, and they open it up, and go ahead and you put the swab in with the swab down. And then there's gonna be like a little bit of stick that is out of the vial. So I tell them to bend that over the sides of the vial and break it in half. And then they can go ahead and put the cap back on, put everything into the basket and then on the table, and then they can drive away. I tell them that they'll be emailed with the results in 2 to 7 days, and that's the end of their encounter. So they leave. You have to make sure that the sample and their paper matches up, and you can put that in the bag, and then the runner will go and run that into the trailer, into the refrigerator. And then, as a pharmacist, you can decide this, but we have bleach bottles, and we just bleach everything that the patient might have touched, that the basket touched. You bleach the bottom and then wipe that all off, and then you can change your gloves. We like to double glove, actually, because it makes it a lot easier if you keep gloves on the whole entire time and then you put another pair over. You just have to take that top one off, and then you can hand sanitize and then put another pair of gloves on, and then you're ready for the next car. So those are all the questions that I had. But if you have any more questions about the COVID testing site, just comment them down below, or you can find me on Instagram at MissFarmD2B. Like I said, this post is just informational. It has nothing to do with my employer. I just wanted to spread some light on COVID testing, and I have to say that I definitely think that this has helped the community in so many ways, especially making it so much more inclusive. Anybody can get it, even if you, like, literally, if you don't even have symptoms, if you're not even coughing, if you haven't even been around anybody, you can get the test. So like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up. And go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you want, Ms. Farm D2B. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and leave a comment for me to see. And if you're interested in anything else, just comment that down below as well. Any other videos you want to see pharmacy related, I'd be happy to make. All right, see you guys later.
Missing someone